Oh my god, I just wanted to get out of this terrible moment, but the only thing I could do was wait, as I was afraid anything could happen if I made any possible oversights. I had to see it, whether I wanted it or not. Then, Senjagahara turns around and starts like that, a dialogue between her and Kanbaru for almost 2 minutes. Senjagahara looked at Kanbaru's demonic face with a look of sadness, wondering why the hell she committed every possible atrocity and why she should regret it. But it didn't do any good. Kanbaru turns to her and says, "You're to blame for all this, forgiveness won't do any good, you'll suffer the consequences." This what? What the hell was Kanbaru talking about? Why would she say such things out of nowhere? I couldn't do a damn thing about getting deeper into that scene, nothing at all. The part that really scared me was Kanbaru's voice. It sounded like a mix of the original voice actress with a demonic sounding voice in the background. She literally sounded like a cursed being. How did she become such a freak? Tell me how? The next thing I know, Senjagahara runs away from Kanbaru as soon as the dialogue ends, as the distorted violin music plays in the background. I didn't want to watch it, but I just couldn't look away. Kanbaru was running at the same speed as Senjagahara. She ran until she was about 2 meters away from Senjagahara. Then the most horrible thing happened. Kanbaru catches up with Senjagahara, takes a knife and stabs her while laughing outrageously. The laugh was mixed with a moan of pain from Senjagahara and some kicking sounds that I couldn't distinguish in that scene. I couldn't believe my eyes, I was so numb with fear and panic. I watched in horror as she stabbed Senjagahara over and over. There was no hope. This was already the worst possible thing I've ever seen in my life. I was begging in my mind for this to end soon. As if that wasn't scary enough, the scene cut to a black screen. And just like that, a word started flashing on the screen for almost a minute. This is the paradise of madness, this is the final destination of everything. Then, just as the screen returned to the previous scene, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the TV screen. But unlike the other scenes or any episode of Monogatari, this was different. The screams were horrifying, despair-inducing, overwhelming terror. And very realistic. Definitely, my TV couldn't have produced such realistic audio quality. It felt like a person was actually inside the TV screaming at the top of their lungs. I saw on the left of the screen, Senjagahara's terrible denouement after the previous scene. She was in a much worse state than the other characters killed throughout the episode. Her arms and legs were ripped from her body, as well as her head, which was decapitated. And the worst thing about it was that she had no eyes in sight and her mouth was completely deformed. Besides her terrified expression on her face, she literally looked like a zombie. But I mean, literally. This wasn't some detail realism in anime and manga like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Berserk. It looked like something taken from a photo of a decomposing corpse and drawn by a professional, literally that. As soon as the screaming stopped and the screen stopped showing Senjagahara's body, the scene shifted to Kanbaru's macabre face. She was much worse off than before. Her eyes were completely black, as if they were holes, while she gave that evil smile on her face. And worse, she seemed to be looking at me. It was like Kanbaru was staring at me. I can tell she was already freaking out about all the happenings. I was on the verge of tears. My vision was blurred, my lips were trembling, I was shaking violently, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the terror. Plus, it looked like I was about to throw up at any moment. So Kanbaru, still laughing outrageously at times, after almost 30 seconds staring at me on the TV screen, takes a gun from his pocket and aims it at his chest. She says something. What she said before shooting was, "Forgive me." But this time, she was in her original voice. There was no more demon muffling her voice at any time. After that, when she fired, the screen flashed red and black for 6 seconds until the screen went dark. I was too scared of what might happen next. I was too scared of that shit. But, all I saw afterwards was that the player ejected the DVD by itself. I don't know how, but the DVD ejected itself. Without me doing anything. This never happened with my DVD player. I tried to put the DVD back in my player 3 times, but to no avail. The DVD ejected itself non-stop. It was like the player was refusing to play that. I tried to put it on my computer. This time it worked, but the video file and the 3 folders were gone. Instead, there was just a folder called End Destination. Afraid that there was something scary about it, I went to click on the folder and there was only one image titled Forgiveness.jpg. When I opened the image, I was stunned. It was a photo of my family. It wasn't a photo I remembered taking a long time ago. It was a photo at the airport when I was about to move to France almost 2 years ago. But there was a difference. The image appeared to have been edited. My little sister was missing from the photo. The airport looked a little more abandoned. There were no planes and people around, and my parents had an anguished expression on their faces. In this photo, I was the only one that didn't change. I was the only one that was smiling in this edited photo. Since, in fact, everyone should be smiling in the original photo, right? After 10 minutes, my cell phone rang. As soon as I answered, it was my father and mother. They seemed very desperate. They said that the house they lived in Coimbra, Portugal, was on fire. For those who don't know, I'm Portuguese, born in Coimbra and have lived in France since 2010 because of my studies and more job opportunities. They said they didn't know the reasons for the fire in the house. They said they suspected that it was someone who broke into the house and burned down the place. But the positive side was that neither my parents nor my younger sister were hurt or anything, and they left the place in time. Even more, they went to stay temporarily at my aunt's house in Figueira da Foz, a coastal town near Coimbra. All of this happened at the same time that I saw that episode. I was really scared. I was already crazy enough to have to see more traumatizing things that same day. I wanted so badly not to want to know what the hell this was all about anymore. Why is this happening to me? I swore that I've never been through anything like that, ever. I wanted to take that damn DVD and throw it in the trash. I never wanted to see that crap again in my house. I tried to do that, but it didn't work. I felt that if I could keep it, some people I could tell the whole situation to would believe me. Because if I told this story to someone, I would feel that I would be called crazy. But I swear I saw it, I swear it. A week later, I had to travel to Portugal to help my parents and my younger sister investigate the fire in their house. The conclusion of the local police was that there was never any kind of break-in, but rather a short circuit in the air conditioning in the kitchen. My parents didn't understand anything, as the last inspection of the air conditioning had taken place 4 days before the fire and it gave positive results, but they decided to continue anyway. My parents had to rent a house in Figueira da Foz for a while. As soon as the house that was burned down was renovated, they returned to Coimbra. As soon as I got back to France, more questions stuck in my mind. Who had made that cursed episode of Monogatari, and why was it sent precisely to my house? I didn't really know what to do about this situation. It was one of the most tense situations I've ever faced in my entire life. First of all, remember when I said earlier about 2 friends who liked Monogatari at my college and considered it one of their favorite animes? So, I even talked about this episode with them, but they didn't fully believe the story. Which made me suspicious that they might be involved in this, but it didn't progress. Why do my suspicions that they might be involved in the production of the episode not progress? Simple, none of them knew any professional animator who can do something related to anime or something like that, not to mention that they didn't handle enough video editing for some episode like that. Also, neither I nor they knew any Henry at one point. Since originally, before watching the episode, there was a folder with the name Henry, and that strangely someone with that name may have produced this episode. What I found a little bizarre was that the episode was completely subtitled in French. At the time, I didn't fully understand the language as I had recently arrived in the country, but I could understand some things thanks to basic lessons. I don't know if that was a fan-made produced here or originally in Japan, but clearly it was something not to be shown. I remember that the anime Bakemonogatari was even dubbed in France and shown on the now extinct channel No Live, but that didn't convince me as a clue for the case. Gradually, my suspicion that these friends of mine were supposedly involved in this story was totally discarded, and I was forgetting about this moment. I couldn't sleep for almost 3 days after watching the episode. In addition, I felt a very uncomfortable feeling in my back during those 3 days. It was as if I had been hit or something similar. I don't know how, but it worried me for a while, but I ended up seeing it was no big deal. I didn't watch the new Bakemonogatari season until the next summer break 2013, as I was quite traumatized by that day until I completely forgot and decided to watch it as if nothing had happened. Now, if you think the weird stuff stopped there, a weird thing related to this episode happened almost 2 years ago, which possibly motivated me to write this. My house was being renovated. At that time, I was already living with my girlfriend, whom I met at university in Paris. As I thought the house was small for both of us, we decided to renovate it. While all this was going on, I found something strange behind my wardrobe. Yes, it was the DVD. I already thought I had thrown it in the trash a long time ago. I wanted to swear I was freaking out to see it in my house again, but that was it. The DVD titled Kanbaru Madness was there. I started to remember everything that happened on that fateful day in July 2012, in which it was practically forgotten in my mind. When the house was completely renovated and my girlfriend was out shopping for some things at the supermarket, I decided to see if the same thing happened. This time, the DVD did not eject and play something. At first, it was just a minute of black screen, but later, it showed what appeared to be Araragi's residence. This time, everything was in a completely chaotic situation. Everything had been destroyed and left in ruins. There was nothing else there. It was like that episode never happened. It was something totally different. No sound as the scene played. After nearly 3 minutes of Araragi's residence in ruins, Bakemonogatari's normal credits for the song Kimi no Shiranai Monogatari were displayed next. It was as if nothing had happened. That was like the final scene of that episode, because I remember the last time I checked with my DVD player control, it was 4 or 5 minutes before it was over. But still, listening to the original credits song, it made me feel relieved that this was all finally over. I tried twice more if there would be any change in the DVD video, but it was nothing happened. I went to my computer, but this time, the video file worked. But as expected, it was the same thing. The DVD is still stored in my house, but in a safe in my room. There was nothing else but that. I never explained to anyone else about what happened besides a few friends of mine, as these people probably wouldn't believe me. I say that I still like Monogatari and other animes, but that day still leaves me a lot of mysteries in my mind. Who did that? How was this left in my house? It's because maybe I will never find some